Gamers blame Sweet Baby Inc. for making the industry go belly up. Now it appears that things may be changing. Consultation companies that destroy the video games you love, all in the name of a propaganda that we are not propping up anymore. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we, as ever, endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. And who could keep us ahead of the culture curve better than the culture man himself, Culture Casino? Welcome back to the channel.
Well, thanks for having me, Pro, and I'm enjoying what's happening in gaming and film and television right now.
Yes. Well, okay. So the big thing here is Culture. Folks, click the like button as we dive straight into this conversation. The big deal here is that the gaming industry is 13 times the economic powerhouse that the film industry is. We've watched what woke or DEI or postmodern neo-Marxism did to the film industry over the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's not good. We watched it stall out streaming for many of the streamers. We've just seen over and over this play out. The mainstream audience doesn't want it. Gaming, though, gaming's the big kahuna. And ever since 2020, they've been trying to push this into gaming. Now there is a reconciliation that is happening with consumers, and the consumers are simply saying, no deal. We don't want this. Get it out. So Culture, walk us through who is this company, Sweet Baby Inc.? Why should we know them? Why should we care about them? And then we've got articles. We've got a lot of articles about perhaps what could be their collapse.
Yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. is one of, if not the most prominent of these game consultancy companies. In fact, I would say that they're probably the figurehead. They're the ones that we focus on when we do a lot of our content for videos over on That Gameplays. Why? Well, because they're the most vocal and they have the most deals, the most partnerships. In fact, something that they've recently sought to obscure or obfuscate because they've been called out specifically, what they claim is a year-long hate campaign. Now, this group is run by a lady who worked in the gaming industry, sort of, named Kim Belair, and along with another founding partner who likes to keep a lower profile. But for her, she tries to utilize all of the normal tools that a neo-Marxist would use to basically undermine the business of gaming. And gamers just aren't having it. So when a game studio hires a consultancy group, they're hiring them for, let's say, sensitivity reading or outright story narrative or perhaps even character design. And what comes into play there is all of this gobbledygook that is this new idea of inclusivity and I guess equity, and that's not something gamers are looking for in games. They're looking for a solid story, a quality narrative, and a fun experience, some way to escape from the things that are around them and fall into a different world, which is why many of the most popular games are based in fantasy or sci-fi. And they usually do pretty well. A little bit of futurism here and there, like Cyberpunk 2077. But what's been happening is these game consultancies have been pushing their people and their narrative ideas and their character designs in, which is leading to the failure of these games. And I can point towards Concord over at Sony's Firewalk Studios.
And just so people understand, Culture, we may have some non-gamers listening. Yeah. When you say Concord and when you talk about the failure there, what kind of economic devastation are we talking about?
Well, just if you consider the amount of money that was spent in the game development itself, which was about $400 million, not mentioning the fact that Firewalk was an acquisition for Sony, so they had to buy the studio in order to get this game out there. You're looking at a $600 to $800 million impact. They also influenced this skull
negative, right? I mean, we're talking about nearly $1 billion, and largely because of these consultation groups are sending these studios over the ledge. And they're doing it because they came in around circa 2020 and said, here's how you're going to have to make these games now. The whole world's changed. Here's how it's going to be done from here on out. And we're going to be the ones to help you do it. 4 years later, these games are coming out of the pipeline and consumers just said no, just no.
What's funny, Pro, is in the case of Concord specifically, which is a game that's 8 years in the making, or even a little bit more if you've listened to some of the developers that were involved in it. They actually spent all of that time and all of that money, and about halfway through, they kind of repositioned that game into the model you're talking about. Listening to these consultancies that kind of started up in the 2015, 2016 range, but really started to make their impact starting around 2019. So all of those games are coming out now. And we're likely to see these effects spill over into the most expensive, most popular franchise, Grand Theft Auto 6, which is coming up here in 2025. It actually got pushed back because they wanted to clean it up a little bit.
Right, they're terrified of this. They're terrified. I mean, you're talking about billions of dollars of loss from these companies. Yeah. Coach, let me hop into this article and I'll get more of your thoughts on it. This is out of That Park Place by John F. Tripp. Folks, if you're not yet bookmarked That Park Place on your browser, well, you should be. It says Sweet Baby Inc. redesigns its website to remove client and game list, as well as hide its woke agenda. So this is fascinating to me that now that the games are there, they're not wanting to, well, actually, let me take that back, Culture. I started to say they're not wanting to be associated with the games. I think it's the opposite way. I bet studios are saying, please, you are anathema to us. You are poison to us. Please get us off your website. So here's the article. Sweet Baby Inc. redesigned its website to remove its client and game list in an apparent attempt to hide its woke agenda to potential clients. The website previously made it abundantly clear the company was attempting to inject woke ideology into video games with an About Us section that declared, "Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone." And it goes on to say it also featured an outreach section that stated, "New and marginalized talent can change this industry if given the proper support. We want to provide this through our outreach programs." It also listed the various projects the company had worked on, including Alan Wake 2, Sable, Battle Shapers, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, and Usual June. While these were the featured games, you could navigate to the site's projects page and discover more of the company's games, such as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, another absolute economic disaster, The Crew Motorfest, South of Midnight, Keeps and more. In fact, what I would say in terms of how bad this has been, Culture, I think that Sweet Baby Inc. and consultation groups like them have cost hundreds, maybe thousands of jobs. They've destroyed them. Now, that's my opinion. And I don't have the data with me right now to back it up. So I just want to be careful, folks. I'm into my own opinionated position here. Want to be clear about that. But I think this has been devastating to the industry and devastating to people who innocently worked on these games that then Sweet Baby and others came in and consulted on. And when they say diversified culture and when they say marginalized and all of this, I think at this point we just need to say that what they're talking about is anybody who is not a white man. Yeah. And that's really what this has become, is either you are excluded from what they want to have be the intelligentsia and the oligarchy of the industry because you're a white man, or if you fit into those alphabet letters, right, the acronyms, if you are gay, lesbian, et cetera, then you can still be in the club. But if you are a straight white dude, they don't want you. That's my assessment, and that's why I think this is destroying the industry, because that is extreme regression into essentially tribalism again.
Yeah. No, I think you're actually undershooting the
purposefully.
But I think your opinion, and I think you're undershooting your opinion. I would say there are tens of thousands of jobs that have been lost because of this pursuit via these consulting agencies or whatever. I think you have tens of thousands of jobs in this industry that have been lost just in a single year. I don't think people realize the last 3 years in particular have been incredibly brutal for these game studios. We've been talking about it. I said at the beginning of the year, one of the things that we started to talk about on that Game Place is that we would be missing 8 or 9 studios this year. We're well over that. There's now, I believe, 13 studios in all that have gone belly up just this year alone.
And it's a full-on annihilation of the industry.
It absolutely is. And you can point directly to the games and their thinking as to why this is happening. For example, Volition Studios doesn't exist anymore. And the reason I bring them up is because I used to enjoy their Saints Row games. Well, they rebooted Saints Row, and we ended up with the studio just disappearing into nothingness because nobody wanted the game. Nobody wanted the DLC that was going to come from the game. Nobody's playing the game. It basically disappeared. The Squad versus the Justice League, or Kill the Justice League, I believe is the title, right? And I'm not saying the other parts of that because YouTube doesn't like that word, but the Squad Kill the Justice League flopped spectacularly and literally just is limping out their DLC just to fulfill their obligations, because there's no other reason, because there's nobody playing it. There's nobody interested in the game. We mentioned Concord before, but we can go through a laundry list of games that have absolutely fallen apart. And some of them have been government sponsored. We can point towards Dustborn and things like that, and driven by their DEI, ESG policies in the foreign countries. So all of these things that have shown up in the video game industry in the last few years have been incredibly destructive. And the same problems that you get in television and film, you get a complete destruction or erosion of your creative talent, because you can no longer tell a story because you are walking through every element of whatever you're talking about to make sure that you're so sensitive that you don't offend anybody, and that you live within these other boxes where everybody's represented, which is an impossibility.
So let's talk about how game studios now are responding to these sorts of things. This is out of That Park Place again. It says, rumor, Sweet Baby Inc. fired Chris Kindred, who attempted to cancel Brazilian gamer Cabrutus Rambo. And it says, Sweet Baby Inc. has allegedly fired Chris Kindred. We'll keep going here. According to an ex-user, Master of the TDS, who we've had on the channel before, the host of Gothic Therapy, an inside source informed him that Chris Kindred was fired by Sweet Baby Inc. We'll make this make sense in just a moment, folks. It says, we have an insider from Sweet Baby Inc. Says Chris Kindred has been fired. Says Chris Kindred, the person who started the campaign against Cabrutus Rambo to get his account removed and to get the Sweet Baby Inc. detected group removed, has been quietly pushed out of Sweet Baby Inc. What this is all about is Cabrutus, who we've also had on the channel, all he did was make a list of all the games, and he used their website, all the games that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in, and then that put a light on a company that did not want light to be shown upon itself, and it really put into contrast how badly the economies were performing around these games if they were associated in any way with Sweet Baby. So they tried to get this average guy canceled. Well, they, Barbra Streisand effect took over, which maybe now we call it the Alyssa Mercante effect, but it exploded, and now Cabrutus is a big time personality, and he deserves it. He's capitalized well. Master of the TDS says, from what I do know, apparently a lot of people involved with Sweet Baby Inc. were very angry at what Chris Kindred had did. So there had been many calls to Kim Belair and other people in charge to get him removed, and they were successful. However, to the annoyance of my source, they have not released any information publicly, so I was given the go-ahead to break it down here. Okay, so what I would posit here, Culture, is that we're watching a collapse occur. So you've got, on their website, they're removing any association with these games, trying to hide it, who it is they work with, right? Which is the opposite of what a healthy company would be doing. At the same time, we're getting these alleged firings of people who put them into the spotlight, or who magnified the spotlight on them. And so I wonder, Culture, if you think that we've reached the end of, or at least the beginning of the end of, woke consultation companies that are attempting to infiltrate game studios and force them to propagandize through interactive entertainment. Do you think we're reaching that now? Are the game companies altering?
For the first time, I can say I'm more optimistic. Let me put it that way. I don't think that all the studios are going to be capable of doing it. I think if any studio is doing it quickly, it'll have to be Ubisoft, and I think that they're going to have to completely restructure the Assassin's Creed Shadows game that's coming out. Whether they can eliminate all the wokeness, all the dialogue, or whatever, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to that extent. Some people have speculated that they have. I think that more than anything, they're just going to polish up the game to remove the complaints about bugs and obviously things that are inaccurate as far as history goes, and visually they'll clean that all up. I think that's kind of where their efforts are aimed. But I think overall going forward, that's a studio that's going to have to change directions. And I think that the fact that there's a decent chance they will be acquired, if not taken private, that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Apparently, the monorail doors are opening. I'm sorry about that.
Please stand clear of the doors.
That's right.
Culture, walk us through. This is interesting to me, is that much like with Lucasfilm, for example,
Mhm.
the gaming industry, many of the employees buy into wokeism. And when we say wokeism, folks, what we mean is they believe the patriarchy is evil. They believe that merit is not the most important thing. They believe that ancestry and bedroom orientation, that those are your top qualifiers for whether or not you should hold a position. So culture, if all the employees believe that, how is the gaming industry going to heal itself? They're getting rid of the consultation companies, perhaps, but they're still going to be struggling with all these people who are true believers in this on the coasts.
You know, you say it that way, and let me just rewind. The gaming industry, this is a new problem, and they brought it upon themselves.
Yeah.
They introduced it. They brought in the activists, and that was the first problem.
Because they believed they had a problem because they thought that they were too pasty and they were too male and all of this, and so they brought in tons of fresh blood. But the people they brought in were coming out of those particular schools of thought.
Yeah,
and you're exactly right. They've done this to themselves.
Yeah, and when you look at it, you can. There's no clearer picture of the unfortunate direction that all these other studios could go. Some of them won't. Obviously, Saber Interactive doesn't want to go that direction, and hopefully the studio heads over there are able to fend off the larger bits that own them and keep them from headed that way. But when you look at Microsoft specifically and their Halo Studios now, they have fully adopted it. They've taken it to the final level of what this indoctrination
and that's a great counterpoint culture.
Yeah.
Because you and I are optimistic about some studios.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Microsoft is actually going farther than we've even seen Disney ever go before.
Yeah.
Microsoft does not care. They're going to go hardcore into this.
Well, and you have to understand that the reason that Bridge is even developed is because of Bill Gates, who, former CEO of Microsoft. You could basically call him the owner just with as much as he has at stake there. But I'll just say this, Bridge is evil. It is a designed way to put these ideologues in positions.
Hold on, you're gonna have to tell the audience what Bridge is. Culture.
Bridge is rebranded version of a combination of DEI and ESG all in one place. It seeks to place people in positions of power that form everything from the ground up with this ideology in mind. So it basically guarantees that no matter what you want to create, it's always stuck with that one pursuit, that one thing, that one ideology, which again is this new rebranded neo-Marxism that some people think is good and is being taught in schools. And again,
our thought culture, our thought is, sorry to interrupt, but our belief is that if you hire people based on merit, that you're going to wind up hiring women and men of all different backgrounds and ethnicities. And we want that because we believe in the divine worth of every person. What they're doing, what this Bridge attempt is to say, you will hire this person because of skin color or because of bedroom preferences and their abilities. That's not part of your rubric anymore. You just hire them. And what we're saying is, if you legitimately will hire people based on their own talents, all varieties of people will be hired as a result. That's the difference in our modus operandi.
Yeah. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I think that you hire the best person for the job, you're always going to get an organic diversity that will drive everything that you do forward. And if you don't see
Bridge in the NBA or the NFL, do you, Culture?
No, as a matter of fact, and if you were looking for equity or the equal outcome for everyone, regardless of circumstances, then there would need to be a little bit more diversity in those sports. But
and just to show that we are principled in what we say, we also don't have a problem with the ethnic backgrounds and makeups of the NBA, NFL, MLB, whatever, WNBA. We have no problem with Caitlin Clark. We don't have a problem with anybody. Because in sports, pick the best athlete, and I don't care what their skin color is.
Yeah, and pay them simple. And pay them what they're worth. That's the other amazing thing, right? It's
this simple.
It's the same situation in the gaming industry. And look, you don't have to look any further than the wonderful creator that built an entire fantasy or sci-fi genre in Cyberpunk 2077. Mr. Pondsmith is an African American. And he built out probably the greatest game I've ever played, whether it be tabletop or even the recent video game, right? The cyberpunk, that world was created by a man because he wanted a black man because he wanted to make a great game. He wanted to make a great thing, something that would last forever. A world built out, an entire world. Does anybody know
and
that?
that's inspirational culture. Yeah, but that's inspirational, right? And aspirational. Everybody of every background, if they were properly aligned in this world, they would, at maximal potential, they would want to do that, right?
Yeah, but my point here, beyond that, is that nobody would have known, had I not just said it, or very few people would know, that Mike Pondsmith was black. He is one of the greatest game designers ever to have been born. And, I hope he lives forever. I mean, he's 70 years old now. And I just want him to keep developing his world because it's giving us amazing things. And it's even crossed into anime. I mean, he's got a great anime series out there that is on Netflix that you can watch. It's called Edge Runners. It's brilliant. And you'll fall in love with the character David. And again, diversity comes out of everything, but it can be organic, like the way it's supposed to be, and literally reflect the world around you, and not a 19 block area in Los Angeles or New York.
Sure. And I mean, you think about it, just to go back in video games, Shigeru Miyamoto, Japanese, Yuji Naka, Japanese. They're the creators of Mario and Sonic. Culture, there's never been a time in my life that I thought, oh gosh, they've appropriated Italian culture. Oh my gosh. How dare they put red, American sneakers on Sonic? This is all ridiculous. Like, just give me the people who can make wonderful experiences for families all over the country, all over the world. That's what I want.
You have to allow for it in all aspects of the game industry, television and film as well, but we're speaking specifically of games. So when you build a character model, you have to make the character model appealing. So people don't want to play some, sackcloth thing unless it's a sackcloth.
They're against beauty.
Game.
These people hate beauty.
They do, and that's the problem.
I want to show you this, Culture. This is a final article we've got out of that Park Place.
This is good. It says
Odd Tales founder Tim Soray applauds Moon Studios CEO Thomas Mahler's instruction to Kotaku senior editor Alyssa Mercante. Now, Alyssa Mercante, I have called her the gaming industry's professional fool at this point, and I don't call people fools. I think she's actually, this is my opinion, I think she's playing that part, maybe on purpose, I'm not sure, but of like the jester, like she's doing anything and everything she can to gain attention. And when the head of a studio responds to the senior editor at Kotaku the way that this guy did, it's like, it's over. Like, you don't have any cachet anymore. So I'll read this quickly. Tim Soray, the founder of game studio Odd Tales, which is currently working on The Last Night, applauded Thomas Mahler on his response to Alyssa Mercante. It all started when Mahler made it clear that a woman who implied she worked on Ori and the Will of the Wisps did not work for Moon Studios. And, of course, this blew up in Mercante's face because she called him a very negative, pejorative, and for questioning this woman who said she worked for the studio. She didn't. She was making all these incendiary claims. And he just wanted to say, hey, did you actually work for us? Because I don't remember you, and you're insulting others. So this all blew up. Mercante's taking her side and all of that. And now, so you've got Thomas Mahler destroying Mercante. But now, if we scroll down here, we can see, well, we'll scroll down. There's a lot to this story, by the way.
There is. Yeah, it's a great one. John did a good job.
Here we go. Listen, I don't know how Mercante writes articles. She is drama. I mean, she should really be into some sort of, I don't know, celebrity. Maybe there's a Celebrity Apprentice that doesn't have Orange Man Bad. I don't know, but she should be in something like that. Tim Soray says, perfect reply from legendary co-founder of Moon Studios to the worst kind of journalist. So when you have another studio head calling Alyssa Mercante, the head of Kotaku, who she is a huge defender of Sweet Baby and these other consultation groups and what they're trying. When you have the heads of studios now coming out and slamming all of this, it's got to point to an end in sight. Maybe not Microsoft, definitely not Microsoft, but other places, I think so. Culture, final word.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of fun when you think about the number of CEOs that are lining up in you know a stand against this kind of game making process, including Matt Karch over at Saber Interactive, who I mentioned earlier. They all seem to be able to stand up to the bullies, right? Like Alyssa Mercante, who's just a pseudo bully. I mean, she blocks the people she can't argue with, like me. But I think, look, let's get back to the optimism. We have game studios that are going to make games the old-fashioned way. They're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to create an irrelevancy for all the major studios. If you're a major studio and your risk aversion is driving you to go in the completely wrong direction of all of your customers, you're doomed to fail. And I have a feeling that Microsoft might be out of the games business in the next decade. And we know for a fact that Ubisoft is going to be completely different 2 years from now. And I would say that many of these other large studios, including Bethesda, are going to need to watch out, because now they're basically just an IP factory. And when they get acquired by the bigger companies, you're just farmed for your IPs. And I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. And you're going to have studios that survive and make great games, and we continue to buy from them. And you're going to have studios that are just going to be so obsolete and irrelevant that they won't be able to sell games. Those are my thoughts.
It's amazing to me. Microsoft goes from the Xbox 360 that was the point where they could have dominated the entire games industry. They go from the Xbox 360 to now. They are working very hard at making themselves be the next Atari. No, Microsoft will never go away, but their gaming division, you're exactly right, Culture. What gaming division? They don't even have any studios anymore making anything that people want to play. It's incredible to watch. And all because they chased out merit, and in its place, they put in these parrots who just want to bring in more of the alphabet acronyms that they believe in. Too bad that doesn't sell games, and we see that. Folks, get over there and check out That Game Place. It's the channel that Culture Casino and Jonas J. Campbell run. And also check out Culture Casino proper. His channel is phenomenal. Both of those links are in the description down below. Folks, also on your way out the door, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. And drop a comment down below and let us know your thoughts on whether or not this is woke on the way out. We would love to know what you say. Folks, until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you and hopefully adding value to your day, we bid you adieu in this way. Keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?